Hello there, it's your favorite political ferret. I was asked to do the political sextant quiz, and it's a great quiz and you should do it and post your results in the comment section. What does it? Well, it got completely rid of all axes like the political compass and the political 8 values test. It doesn't care about that. What it does is it lists a lot of ideologies that are around and some more, and then just views where you agree and where you disagree. And what it puts out in the end are the 3 ideas and ideologies that fit very good to what you believe, and the 3 who doesn't fit at all. So I thought I could do it in 2 ways. That's a funny thing. I could do it either in the way that I say, okay, I take in consideration the people who really inhabit the world, and they are lazy and stupid to the biggest degree, and some of them are not. Or I can do it with the ideal human, the human that follows the universal preferable behavior. And this was an issue in the last discussions over here on this channel, that some people say I have to take in consideration the people how they are, and others say no, we have to consider people who are better than the people who are around. Well, so I thought I'd just do both. On this over here, I will answer in regards to the reality how I perceive it. And over here, I will answer the same things based on an ideal, so if all the people would behave in the way I would want them to behave. So let's get started. We should strive to remove hierarchy wherever we can. I disagree. In reality, hierarchy makes a lot of sense. And in an ideal world, I would also disagree, but only slightly. You see, in an absolutely ideal situation, a hierarchy could perhaps stop you from achieving the best thing possible. Capitalism has failed and should be replaced with another system. I disagree. Capitalism does fine. And I disagree also in the ideal. Large-scale civilization are unsustainable. I disagree. They work if you give them the proper tools. We should strive to remove borders that separate us as human beings. I disagree in the real world, but I only slightly disagree in an ideal world. Also in an ideal world, people will tend to be different and would show that they are different and take different areas. So there is a need for borders also in an ideal world. Technological advances often cause more harm than good. I disagree in both cases because I'm very pro-technology, so yeah. State involvement is needed to protect citizens' interests. Well, I slightly disagree there, because it has not a lot of sense, but a bit. And I completely disagree in an ideal world. In an ideal world, you don't have to intervene somewhere, but only in an ideal world. In reality, there are some people who are so stupid that they need that, and that they want that. That's, I think, the more important thing there. It is morally justified for someone to profit from ownership of private property, of course. In both cases I agree, absolutely. Religious leaders should play a key role in a running of government. I disagree in both cases, totally. The betterment of society should be a primary goal of the members of said society. I slightly agree in reality. We have to work on the betterment of society, while I slightly disagree in an ideal world. In an ideal world, when everybody has this far side, you don't have to work on society, because then society will work pretty well on its own. It is important to be wary of change, thus we should stick to tradition. I disagree in both cases. I mean, what is tradition? Tradition is just frozen zeitgeist. It is to do something as your father did it. Who cares? You should do it the best possible way, not in an old fashion. Resistance to a system is best achieved through the use of underground markets. I agree. In the end, your money talks far louder than everything else that you can do in society. Society should not seek to impose any specific code of conduct on the individual. I slightly disagree here and I slightly agree over there. You see, in reality there are some codes like law rules and so on who make sense to order our life in a system where everybody seeks to be perfect and seeks to be very well adjusted to an environment and is far-sighted. You don't need that anymore. Most, if not all, government decisions should be decided by citizens' bailout rather than by fixed-term representatives. I disagree. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I made a video about direct democracy. It does not work. But it would work in an ideal world. We need to try to protect the environment from humanity and its actions. I agree there, and I just slightly agree in the ideal world. You see, I believe that the environment has benefits that are not valued enough right now. We copy more or less everything from nature and we do a lot of plagiating over there, and we do it very well, but we have this tendency to destroy a lot of this stuff, so future generations would have it hard to copy once more. So I think that we need some areas that are off limits for humans. You can believe whatever you want there, but I think that's necessary. And I think also in the ideal world we have to make sure that this area exists, but I think because people are more far-sighted, they would agree from itself and would say, okay, there are some areas, we just leave them alone. So, women do not but should share the same rights as men. I disagree. They have already the same rights. In some cases they have more. In some cases they might have a little less. But overall, if you add everything up, women are not worse off than men in the Western society. This is important. We talk here about the West. State regulations of the market should be minimized. Yes, I agree absolutely in both cases. The right of the individual should be paramount. Well, I slightly agree there, and I absolutely agree in an ideal world because, well, watch my other videos. Opposition to the system in the form of actions not allowed by the system is justifiable tool for change. Yeah, I agree. Slightly over there and absolutely over there. So, well, no, make it both. Absolutely agree. You see, if you're living in a system and the system says in the end I make a law that you can't change anything, you have to step outside of the system. The problem is I do not agree to completely discard the system and say I don't care about the rules. So I go back here and only slightly agree over there. Yeah. Money should be represented hours of work rather than the value of work. I disagree. Not even in the ideal world would this work. 1 hour of beta testing a game is not 1 hour of plumbing. People should be free to identify with any sexual orientation or gender they desire. Yeah, I agree. But I don't care. I mean, if they do not force me that I identify them also as them, I don't care. If people just want to identify themselves as a violet block of clay, I don't care. A strong and well-funded military is desirable. In reality, I slightly agree. In an ideal world, I slightly disagree. Why? Because in an ideal world, the cost-benefit factor of war is obvious and nobody is as stupid as to choose war for everything. I should be proud of my culture and support those of my culture over those who are not. I absolutely agree in both cases, because I don't care about culture. I care about... If I was born in, let's say, Islamic State, I should care for my culture and be proud of my culture? I don't think so. I select my culture. I'm not of one culture. My origin doesn't matter. My culture is selected. In this case I would agree, but this is not what is implied over there, I'm sorry. We have achieved such levels of productions that there are more than enough goods to get around. Well, I absolutely disagree there and I absolutely disagree there. Why? Because if you produce more to eat, more people will come up. There is no measurement of what is enough. It doesn't work that way. Government interventions in markets in order to protect citizen interests is justified. I slightly agree in reality because I see how stupid people act in the market. I absolutely disagree. In an ideal world, people would have enough information to come to very clever decisions. But this is one of the things where the ideal world and reality goes far, far, far from each other. So change should be achieved through the apparatus of the system. I slightly disagree in reality. I absolutely agree in an ideal world. An ideal world should be populated by systems that can be changed and should be changed and are changed all the time. Worker unions lead to inefficiency and or corruption and or employment and thus should not be allowed. I slightly disagree in both cases. Why? I mean, they should work, they should be able to form unions if they can't force you to join them, but they should be able to create them. People should elect representatives to vote on government policy in their place. I slightly disagree and I absolutely disagree in an ideal world. Religion and government should be kept separately. What should I say then to agree in both cases? Similar ideologies should act in unison to challenge radical opposing ones. Yes, I agree in both cases. That's the reason why I argue that minarchists and anarcho-capitalists and everyone else who is not really happy with the state should the fuck work together. Society should adhere to religious tenets. I disagree. Workers should be organized according to their industry in order to protect their interests. I slightly disagree in reality because it doesn't make a lot of sense, and I absolutely disagree in an ideal world. A small group of political conscious intellectuals should lead us into the revolution. Oh no 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 no. Should I say more than no? 5 times in a row? I don't know, but I can't say anything more than oh the hell no. We should try to limit meat and or dairy consumption as much as possible. I disagree. I don't think so. We should strive to abolish wages. I disagree. People have the same fundamental worth. I agree. We are all born with the same fundamental worth, but it changes based on our actions. A murder will lose a lot of that, and an winner of a Nobel Prize will win worth. Governments should only be involved in administration of vital services like the police or fire services. I would say border control and would say I agree there, and I slightly agree over there because in an ideal world the amount of things the government should do would fall drastically. Taxation of land and buildings should be the primary source of government revenue. Marxist bullshit. And communism is a failure and it would be detrimental to even attempt any such system. I agree. And I agree. So, we are finished over there and we are finished over there. So, what do we have here? Ta-da! In reality, I'm 50% anarcho-capitalist and 50% agoranism and 62% free market environmentalist and 75% third way, and seems like I have a lot of issues with anarcho-feminism and national anarchism and the Chinese version of fascism. And in the ideal world, anarcho-capitalism goes up to 70% and agorism to up to 70% and free market environmentalism. Hey, to summarize that somehow, I think in reality people need some guidance and want some guidance. I think the ideal Homo sapiens that I would want to have on this planet does not really need that stuff. But the thing is, we don't exist in an ideal world. We exist in reality, and so we have to go with some of the stuff that looks like a bad idea. I mean, third way is not absolutely the thing that I would choose for defining myself, but it brings us some solutions that fit in reality. So this were my two political sextant quizzes. I hope I gave you some insights in how I think and what I believe, and how hard it is sometimes to change between reality and the view of an ideal world. And well, so thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and have a great time.